Would you like to reduce your net fleet fuel spend by 10 to 23%? Could you use that money in other areas in your company while reducing your carbon footprint at the same time? Click the link below and learn more. Welcome to Freight Executive Insights, everybody, FEI. I'm Mike Vincent, and my guest is Robert Howard, and I'm going to read this off. He is the Chief Operating Officer at Dohrn Transfer Company. Actually, President and Chief Operating Officer. So I didn't mean to cut that off. That's important to note that. Hey, welcome to the show, Robert. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. So, dude, where are you at right now?
I'm in Rock Island, Illinois at our headquarters.
Rock Island, Illinois. So what was that? Do you remember what that number was?
Oh, and at the roadway days?
Wasn't 311 was the Heights, right?
309 was the Heights.
309 was the Heights, so 311 was Chicago. 309 was Chicago Heights.
I'm not sure what.
It had to be in there, 313 or somewhere.
It was in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's right in that area somewhere. We both owe Hammaker a buck, I think, if you were asking us that. If anybody hasn't figured it out, we're both roadway guys, brother. So, hey, talk about Dohrn. What's Dohrn doing? Anybody out there living on a rock doesn't know Dohrn? Let's talk to them. Give them the elevator speech why they should call right now.
First of all, we're part of the Pit Ohio Transportation Group, but we're a standalone Midwest LTL company based in Rock Island, Illinois. We operate 23 terminals all the way from Nebraska to Indiana, south to Missouri. We cover Wichita up to Minnesota, all of Wisconsin. We have about 1,300 employees here, and about 750 of them are drivers. And a little bit more about the company. We offer everything for just general LTL, but we also have Protect from Freeze. More than 200 trailers of ours have heaters on them, so we're able to protect customers' freight as well as liftgate service, and then we offer warehousing at several locations as well.
Fantastic. So, do you remember the old Protect from Freeze we had at Roadway?
We froze a lot of shipments back then when I was there.
Yes, we did.
It doesn't freeze in transit.
I think the theory was don't just keep a tractor running underneath it, and the vibrations keep it from freezing. I think was the whole thing.
There's a different expectation from those days when I was at Roadway to now, though, from customers.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. That's hilarious. And Pit Ohio was always a formidable force to deal with, you know, and those regional moves were difficult to fight against somebody like that. And so you guys are part of that whole family. That's fantastic. So all LTL, Expedited, that type of stuff, liftgate and all that kind of thing. It's fantastic. So what's the market like for you guys right now? You guys doing well?
We're doing good. The agricultural market's certainly down. We're seeing, it's a unique time where we're seeing shipments are up overall, but we're seeing smaller orders from customers. The impact of inflation and how they're ordering. And then with the agricultural industry down, that's a big part of the Midwest for us. So we feel that to some degree, but some of our other customers and other segments are certainly doing a lot better.
Yeah, there's certain are doing well and certain aren't. It's interesting to see that imports, at least containers, are up, right, recently. But then, you read things about commodity prices are having a rough time right now, which is a strong indicator of the economy, right? Like your minerals, your coppers and oil and that type of stuff are having an issue, which is like I guess it's a flag for later down, right? I mean, you have to have the minerals to then manufacture, then eventually that hits non-bulk shipping, because that's like the leading canary in the coal mine is the bulk guys, right? If you can see what's going on there, then you can start to have some insight as to where those ripples are going to come through, right?
It's a unique situation for sure.
It really is, man, and it's interesting to see the dynamics between the truckload and the LTL as well. There's a lot of people in truckload that don't really understand that dynamic, but I know being LTL, and both of you and I grew up and got our cut our teeth at Roadway Express, and what a hell of a training it was, eh? We understood the dynamics between the two very, very well.
Very well.
Yeah, very well. Those differences, right? That's fantastic. So where'd you grow up at Roadway?
Started in Indianapolis. I'm from Indiana. Graduated college, went to IU, and then 2 days later started right there on the dock at Roadway. Spent some time in line haul, then just right to the dock and cut my teeth there.
Yeah, right. At the break bulk dock in Indy?
Yeah, at the break bulk dock. I was there, gosh, I guess probably about a year. Started going to graduate school, moved up to Fort Wayne with Roadway.
Oh, okay, got
did a small satellite that was 246 back then. Then back
246,
to the break bulk. And that was right around 2003 when Yellow Freight purchased Roadway. I was there for that.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah,
So
yeah.
the timeline.
So you were Sullivan days. Sullivan
Yes.
was president back then, yeah. And then into Terry Gilbert, I believe, right?
And then, I guess I want to think 2003, Welch might have been still president.
Oh, yeah.
He might have still been president. And then shortly thereafter, Yellow came in, announced they were going to acquire Roadway. I was young at the time, just coming out of grad school. Didn't feel like the right time to be there, and joined CCX, or Conway Central Express. That's transitioned over.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's cool. So current industry, right? We're about in some flux right now. Is it going up? Is it going down? What, that type of stuff. It's really hard to tell. It feels to me, and looking at the stuff, that there's no hockey stick in our future as far as it going up. And I don't know that there ever will, because it seems like we've just hit something and now we're just going to naturally progress forward. If the world ever calms down with war and politics and everything else, just keeps sputtering the thing along, like it's insane. What are you guys seeing there? You guys remaining pretty strong?
Yeah. And I think, our view's kind of the same. We expect, through the rest of the year to be kind of flat still. We don't have this expectation we're going to see the industrial economy just really take off. But at the same time, our focus is to take care of every one of our customers, to provide great service, low claims, and really try to build additional capacity within our core network and make sure we're there. So when the economy does turn around, we're able to take care of all of our shippers and additional ones.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. So, there's a lot of discussions in LTL, and one of them, I don't know if you follow, like Scooter Sayer or Curtis Garrett or those guys, or even Lance Healy and those type of things. But changes in the pricing and changes to the NMFC, et cetera, and all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on that stuff? You have any opinions on there?
So we keep pretty close to what's going on in the industry, especially as it relates to how some are introducing this dynamic pricing. But our model's really been try to really understand our costs well, and offer our customers a fair price, and really offer them good service product. And so we're kind of on a sit back and watch probably what happens as it relates to kind of the transition in pricing. But we want to be fair to our customers and really understand our costs, so we can give them the best possible price.
Yeah, fantastic. So did you just complete your PhD?
I did. I completed it just in June.
Just in June. And so what was that? Was that within this space, in this vertical?
Yeah, it's a Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership. I wrote my dissertation within LTL. It was about truck drivers and how servant leadership and gamification, which is a new thing for us, impacts their safe driving ability and also their fuel efficiency.
That's so specifically going into the gamification, right? I mean, it's so much better now. We used to have the 5-minute, stop game, and that was back. Holy mag! I mean, I was in Toledo dispatch when that was happening. So that was fire, dude. That was like 33 years ago, and that was just with a paper F9 where they were write in their times and stuff, right? So most of it was BS, anyways. But so what kind of gamification for efficiencies, or do you have to stick straight to safety? Because
so during my dissertation, I interviewed dozens and dozens of LTL drivers all over the country, with the exception of ones that work for Dohrn. I would have influence over them, but from colleagues in the industry were so willing to open up their company and introduce me to drivers. So I had a chance to sit down and talk to them, just tons and tons of hours and hours and hours. And as it relates to gamification, it's really all over the board insofar as how organizations are implementing or using gaming elements within their organization. Some are really, really advanced where they're using point system on how many points a driver may get if they don't hit the brakes too hard, or if they're not speeding, or if they're not distracted or turn too hard, giving them a points and rewarding them and making a real positive experience. Others are, very, very basic games, things like Million Mile Awards, or just basic accomplishment milestones. But, regardless of what it was, in all cases, almost 99% of the drivers I spoke to, if it's rolled out positive and it's the focus is reward versus, stick approach, they love it. And it's really made an impact for them in changing their behavior and getting desired output.
So did you get into the efficiencies or the impacts of those gamification of different, programs that people use? Because you say that, the reward rather than the stick, right? So do you have any insight on how do you balance that? Because if you discover somebody doing something wrong, man, you got insurance you got to pay for, dude, right?
Sure, that's for sure. I think what I've seen, at least in talking to drivers that have more of the advanced gamification, it almost feels like more like a video game for them, where I'm trying to get this score, I'm trying to receive this reward, I'm getting an incentive bonus if I do so well, and that's a motivator for them, as opposed to somebody that just kind of going through the motions. So when it's been rolled out positively, that's been received well. There are some other drivers that express, it's all about a takeaway point. Every time I do something wrong, these negative interactions, they were more of a turnoff for drivers and not as motivating. So when it's rolled out right, gamification has a real impact for performance improvement. I think the thing that, kind of during those conversations, we're talking about gamification, but it's also what I heard from every driver, it's about leadership. It's about, this is still a people business. It's about how the dispatcher communicates to the driver. We treat them with respect. Are we stressing them out because we're putting too excess pressure on them? And really, probably the other big part was the autonomy of the driver and how much they value being part of the solution and how to problem solve and figure out their next stop and be there for their customers. Because just about every driver I spoke to, they want to do a great job for their customers. They want to do a great job for their company. They want to be safe. They want to be efficient.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, LTL has a unique advantage and a bit of a disadvantage in that you get to, you get the one-on-one touch points with the driver at least twice a day, right? At the beginning and at the end, and maybe sometimes in the middle if they're running volume loads or spot loads and that type of stuff, right? And we tend to take those moments, or have in the past, I know I have, to emphasize some corrective actions, et cetera, right? And so, when you have too much access to somebody and you want to correct them, that's not so good, right? And you really need to make those interactions collaborative and positive.
One of the things I heard more than anything is how important those interactions are for the rest of the day, as it relates to, you talked about insurance and safety, but if a driver has this negative interaction with a dispatcher or driver, and then they take off, they're leaving, they're playing it through their mind over and over, and it creates this opportunity to skip a step, to take a shortcut, and it creates this additional risk on them.
Yeah, it really does. So you got to keep that positive nature up, especially driving that big machine up and down the roads, man. Because you mentioned million mile drivers, safety drivers. That is a huge feat to accomplish as an LTL guy.
Especially in the city operation, backing in during the day.
Yeah. There's not a lot of those in like Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? There's some cities where it might be easier than others, but no city is easy to do that when you're running around. You're probably not running a whole lot of C800 cab overs like we did at Roadway Express anymore either.
Cab overs.
Which those were fantastic P&D units, weren't they?
They were.
It's awesome. Listen, Robert, 15 minutes blows by quick, brother. It's been a pleasure meeting you and talking a little bit about Roadway Express. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with? Any insights or talk about gamification or what Dohrn's doing or what you're doing?
No, just check us out. We're a Midwest LTL carrier. We like to think we're one of the best in the Midwest, and we our secret sauce is pretty simple. We are flexible. We have a personal touch with our customers, and we're large enough with the influence of the reach of a super regional carrier with our companies, and give us a try.
Excellent stuff. I appreciate it so much, Robert. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to FEI, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace and love.
Thank you.